Welcome back to the Lawkward Chronicles. My name is Larissa and today we are doing my May book wrap up. You guys, I read 13 books this past month in May. 13! How do I keep doing more when I keep getting busier? So I filmed a few of these already, so we're gonna do a little past and present moment. Well, like, it's all relevant, but because I was reading so much, I didn't want to like forget what it was. Also, my camera can only handle so much without overheating every 10 minutes. That would have been a little extensive. So you'll see outfit changes, just so pretend that it's all at the same time and not weird. I'm making it weird. Let's start discussing. So the first book that I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I did a whole reading vlog on this, spoiler free, and I absolutely love this book. I feel like she just continues to grow as a writer. Everything is so beautifully written, and I just love the relationships and the friendships in this book. I am also just like a big sucker for a friends to lovers romance, which is why People We Meet on Vacation is my favorite Emily Henry romance or book right now, and Happy Place is definitely up there. I feel like they're all tied for different reasons, but I love a friends to lovers, and this is also a second chance, which I'm also a sucker for. So this is the story of Harriet and Wynne, and they have a very close friend group that goes on vacation to Maine at one of their friends' like cottage every year. Harriet and Wynne were engaged and then they broke up 5 months ago. Harriet was supposed to go on this trip and Wynne was supposed to stay back. She was going to break the news to them, but when she shows up to the cottage, lo and behold, Wynne is there because their friends convinced him to come because there are really big announcements that are happening. And this book goes through communication through all relationships, whether that's romantic, friendship, and how to communicate and grow those relationships as we grow and evolve as people and aren't naturally in those friend groups. It is a past-present timeline, which I also love. I love seeing the development between the friend group and then going on to that romantic and just everything in between. Very hard-hitting stuff in here in the sense of just being an adult but not knowing what the heck you want to do with your life. Yes, Happy Place is definitely my happy place, and it makes me really want to go to Maine. The next book that I read was my favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. Weirdly enough, same vibes, same energy, just very, I don't know what it was. They're not the same story, but for some reason it gave me the same energy. This is about Millie, and she is very close friends with this group of 4 guys. They all work at the university, and there is a really big event coming up in the summer, and they want to have dates for it because they want to go to it, which they usually don't, but there's a big speaker. They promise each other that they are going to get dates, and so they try the online dating thing, and what happens is Millie really likes her bestie Reed, but she doesn't think like she has a chance with him, and she has a really difficult time opening up and being emotional and vulnerable with people. She has a little crush with Reed, and they end up hooking up and then decide to be just friends, just platonic. And so when they sign up for the dating app, Millie makes her profile, and her profile is crap. She helps the guys with theirs, and theirs is all wonderful, fantastic, very individualized, very great. And hers is awful, and the guys tell her this, and she's like, well, fine. And so she creates a different profile that's still her, but she uses a different name, Kat, which is short for Catherine, which is her middle name, and she just uses it a little bit more. So one is her actual one where she's not really getting a lot of matches. The other one is her fake one, but not really. And she ends up matching with Reed, and she is trying to be vulnerable with him, and she wants him to realize that it's her. My critique, there is a moment where Reed is like, I wish Millie and Kat were the same person. And then obviously he finds out, sorry, spoiler alert, he finds out that they're the same person, and he gets mad. You literally wish for that to happen, sir. Anyway, It was fun, it was cute, it was light, it was a nice little read. It also had just a little bit more harder elements into it too, but the discussion of trying to be vulnerable with your friends as well as vulnerable with a romantic partner for that relationship to grow is very important in this book as well. Both of these books, that's why they have the same energy, being vulnerable and communicating with one another. The next book that I read was on my Kindle. It was a Kindle Prime first read, whatever it was. And that was The Silent Bride by Shalini Boland. I started off really enjoying this. It was kind of creepy. So what happens is this girl, who I'm blanking on her name, it's her wedding day and she is walking down the aisle and gets to the end and sees this guy down there and realizes that's not her fiance. That is not the man she's supposed to marry, but everyone keeps telling her that it is, and she's so confused, she's so repulsed by this guy. She's trying to figure out what the heck happened, where her fiance is, and it was kind of a whirlwind romance, and he's a very busy doctor, and he never really met her friends, so met them briefly like once or whatever, but a lot of people saw him on the wedding day, so nobody could corroborate, and she also did not recognize his parents, and she's like, who are these people? They are acting, blah blah blah. So we also get a past present timeline as well as the point of view of the person that plotted this whole shenanigans, which is interesting. It kept me engaged, but there wasn't much happening, and I was kind of disappointed in the end. Not like horribly, but like it just was like oh, okay. It wasn't like the best, it wasn't the worst, but I read it. The next books that I read and listened to, and if you would watch my Door County vlog, you'll also see me finish The Silent Bride as well as start the Selection series by Kiera, and I listened to the Selection, the Elite, and the Favorite all on audiobook during my drive. Oh my gosh, you guys, obsessed. I also ended up reading on my Kindle The One. This series, it is classified as a young adult series, and it was so good. I'm not really in my YA era, I've just kind of accepted that, and these books kept me hooked. I just flew. Obviously, I listened to them, but like as I was driving and listening, I'm like, what? I was so engaged to the whole story. So the comparison of them is like a dystopian Bachelor meets Hunger Games. So this society is in a dystopian world in the future. China and America have combined or something, like somebody's taken over the United States, and like this is quite a few years into the future. And America, or Mare, is part of a faction system. So ones are the elite, so like the prince is who they get to meet, and then it just goes down. So kind of like the Hunger Games division as well. So every number has a different job and is ranked in class by that. So 1 is top class, 8 is very bottom class, and then there are factionless as well. They all have different jobs. America is in more of like the entertainment, so she is a singer, her dad is an artist, and they make it very difficult to marry outside of your faction. And America is just wholeheartedly in love with this guy in his 6th, so he is a lower rank to her, and they want to get married, but then the Bachelor thing comes up and the prince is asking for people who are eligible to come to the castle so he can see if they are a match, and Mare, with persuasion from her family and her secret boyfriend, Aspen, also pushes her and kind of breaks up with her, and she is really upset. She's like, fine, I'll do it. And so she goes and meets the Prince Maxon, but she is not interested in being a princess, and she just tells Maxon, hey, keep me around, because her family gets paid for this every week that she's gone, and she says, keep me around, I'll help you suss out all the other people and just help you along and be your friend. And Maxon is just enamored by her, And so there's kind of a friends to lovers love triangle, and I ate it up. Ate it up. The Elite is the second in the series, and that one was a little bit more frustrating just because she just kept going back and forth between Aspen and Maxon. And it's like, girl, pick a side. Like, it was every other chapter she would be obsessed. Whoever was in her presence is who she wanted to be with, and it was kind of annoying, but I get it, but also like, and also Maxon turned into like a little bit of a fuckboy, and that was unappealing and very unlike his character because he is so sweet, he is so kind, and it was just dumb. The One kind of wraps up the first part of the trilogy, of that trilogy. There are two more. The One is kind of the continuation and finishing of this part of the series, and that one was really good. It was a lot more action-packed. However, I feel like it wrapped up way too quickly, and all of a sudden things happen, and then boom, 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 and we never really got a few like flushed out explanation. I feel like if the book would have been longer, it would have been more complete, but I just feel like it wrapped up way too quickly, and just things were thrust into action. The Favorite was a novella, and it was in the point of view of Marley. The issue with that is it gave a spoiler, and I'm really upset about it. But it wasn't like a huge spoiler, but like I was quite upset about that. So if you read it in the correct order, which it's supposed to be the Selection, the Elite, the Favorite, and the One, I wish I would have read it in with the Favorite being last, or only listen to part one of the Favorite, because you listen to part one, it kind of catches you up on all that's happened, and then the second part would have come after the One. It helped contribute to the story. It's not necessary, but it's really nice to see what Marley is up to because she is so sweet. The next book that I read was It's in His Kiss by Julia Quinn. This is Hyacinth's story, part of the Bridgerton series. She is the last of the Bridgerton, even though Gregory is the last book of the kids. Hyacinth is a spitfire young lady. She says what she wants and all of that. And this is also a kind of friends to lovers, and this is Gareth and Hyacinth. And Gareth is hated by his father. He is despised by him, actually, and they never get along. But he comes across a journal or diary after his brother passes, and his brother's late wife gives him this diary and tells him about it, but it's written in Italian. Well, guess who can read very little Italian but can still decipher a lot of it? Hyacinth. Hyacinth is helping him decipher what this diary means, and comes across so many very exciting things, and it kind of leads them on a little treasure hunt. It was fun. It was cute. I think this is much better than the last, what, 3? It was fun. She says some sassy things. She's a sassy gal, and I love it. Next up, I have Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. This was our book club episode, and there is the lawn care service. Pause for them. All right, this was a very, very heavy read. Check out my reading blog and then the book club episode if you have already read it. Very, very heavy topics. Please check the trigger warnings. There's depression, anxiety, sexual assault, gaslighting relationships, very abusive relationships, just a whole slew of things. But it is very much a great depiction of mental health representation and how not everything is neat and tidy, and a lot of it takes a lot of work to get out of, and just the support of friends and learning to lean on other people. Adelaide is such a kind and caring human being, and she's just so lovely and loving, and it's just kind. And lawn care service yet again. Anyway, there are so many quotable moments in here, and it is very frustrating to read. It is very much an avoidant, anxious attachment style relationship, which is horrible because I was in one of those, and it is awful, but this one was way more intense than my previous one, like my actual one. So story, Adelaide is an American, and she goes over to London and for her master's, I believe, and just meets up with her friends. Her friends are so wonderful, and they're just exploring the life of London in their 20s and the relationships that go through those and detrimental ones, and like how everybody seems to be moving forward into marriage and kids and all these other steps, while Adelaide feels like she is stuck in this relationship that doesn't seem to be going anywhere, and just how to pick up the pieces when it feels like everything is falling apart. So again, very, very heavy book. It is very short, but it packs a punch in these minimal amount of pages. So go in with caution, please. The next two books that I read were The Heir and The Crown, which is the final two books in the selection series that I read earlier. In the future, so 20 years after the selection took place, and it is the daughter who is the heir of however it ended in the previous three. It was good. It wasn't great though. I'm kind of disappointed, mainly because the parents to the heir, Elin, they told her nothing, the selection process of their story. I feel like that was such against their character, as well as like defeated the whole purpose of the previous selection and what they wanted to accomplish within Ilya. They didn't do that. They stayed in their walls and stayed in their comfort and fought for their comfort. And yes, they care about their people, but they didn't go out and about and try to solve things. They stayed within their palace walls, and they didn't let Elin know anything about their story besides the very basics. That was so weird to me. I thought that was very against the characters. I liked the fifth book more than the fourth. Elin is very bratty and very spoiled, not spoiled, but she takes a long time to warm up to because she likes to keep herself distant from everybody so nobody hurts her. It makes her come across as cold and uncaring and all of that, so she is not loved by her people. Like, nobody wants her to eventually take over running the country because they do not connect with her well. The ending, I'm happy with who she chose. It was very great. I absolutely loved it. And the boys, the final boys, were just so cute, so sweet. They just are just little rays of sunshine, and I love them, and I love everything that happened and the messages that were portrayed, and also the political intrigue throughout on how to reestablish and build and listen to people. It was a good series. I'm glad I read it all. I definitely prefer the first three. The last two were okay. The next book that I read was Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. This is part of the Throne of Glass series, which I'm not going to do any spoilers. I will say this one is definitely where, like, they're all very action-packed, and it's very much heavily fantasy with a romance subplot, but they just are so action-packed. Like, everything kept moving, and this was definitely like a really, really big one because a lot of stuff happened and it was so cool. It was really awesome. And then the last book that I read was my monthly reread of my favorites, where I go back and reread my favorite books and annotate the heck out of them because I most likely didn't do it on the first time, and that is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I know so many people are so split with this one. They either really hate it or really love it. I am a really, really, really love it. I love a friends to lovers romance. Yes, the miscommunication trope is not ideal in this, but I absolutely love Poppy and Alex. I love their dynamic. I love their banter. Like, right away, the banter just starts and it's so funny, and I was just giggling all throughout it, and I love them. Do they work in real life? Probably not, but I'm going to pretend that they overcome all their obstacles like they do in the book, and that they end up happily ever after, forever and ever, amen. I just love this. This is such like a great vacation read. It's a past and present timeline. Like I said, friends to lovers. I would love to take each of their vacations. I think that would be so fun, and just kind of like a bucket list item is to do a vacation that they did. I think that would be great, like go to the places. I adore this. This is my favorite Emily Henry book. I really loved Happy Place, don't get me wrong. I think that's my second favorite. I know, crazy. I'm just a sucker for friends to lovers. But People We Meet on Vacation just continues to be top tier for me, and I absolutely love it. Like I said, I know that's very polarizing because so many people hated this one or did not like it as much, and it's been my favorite. So there's that. Take that with a grain of salt, which just goes to show not everybody likes the same type of books, and that's why it's so great to have opinions and as well as try things out for yourself. Don't take my word for it, that kind of thing. Yeah, 13 books this month. Holy schmoly guacamole. My average rating for the month was 3.77. I think I might start doing that because I got my handy dandy notebook now. All right, well, with that being said, respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks, bye.